What was supposed to be a defining moment in all of UFC history has now turned into one of the most frustrating letdowns of all time. And for years, fans have eagerly anticipated the heavyweight clash between the rising force in Tom Aspinall and the returning legend in Jon Jones. A unification bout that would have settled the debate of who truly reigned supreme at heavyweight. And we waited and waited and waited. But in a twist that perfectly sums up the chaos of the modern UFC era, Jon Jones has officially retired from mixed martial arts. And not in the octagon, not with any type of honor, but with a phone call. And with that, Tom Aspinall is no longer interim anything, because he is now the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. And not by beating Johnny Turinabol inside of the cage, but by outlasting his fear outside of it. And this wasn't just a title change. It was a moment of a long overdue justice and a sobering indictment of how one man's ego stalled an entire UFC division. And what follows is not just a breakdown of what happened, but a reflection of what we lost. And what we finally gained now that Johnny Turinabol Jones is finally out of the picture for good. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share so you can help me reach 3,000 subscribers by May. I'll deeply appreciate you. And make sure you join the official UFC Discord, link in the description. 3 years. We waited 3 agonizing years for the UFC to finally crown a true, undisputed heavyweight champion. 3 years of anticipation, 3 years of hype, and 3 years of Jon Jones holding the heavyweight division hostage. And it's crazy because we waited patiently for the return of one of the most polarizing fighters in all of UFC history. And not because we admired him or anything, but because we wanted clarity. We wanted a resolution, and we wanted to see whether or not Jon Jones, the so-called greatest of all time, the GOAT, could cement his legacy against the new blood, against the future. And now we finally have our answer. Because after 3 years of delays, injuries, excuses, and smokescreens, Johnny Turinabol Jones has officially relinquished his undisputed heavyweight title. And Uncle Fester, with a casual shrug during the UFC Baku post-show, broke the news that Jon had called him and Hunter Campbell to inform them that he's done. He's out. No fight, a fake title defense, and no unification bout with the interim champion, Tom Aspinall. Just like that, gone. And with that one cowardly phone call, Tom Aspinall becomes the rightful, undisputed UFC heavyweight champion of the world. And now, in retrospect, you kind of have to ask yourself, what was this all for? I'm talking about the delays, the constant negotiations, the media spin. What did it all amount to? Because Jon Jones didn't return to prove some type of greatness. He didn't return to prove himself against the best of this era. He returned for one final ego boost, to collect a check and cherry pick a 42-year-old Stipe Miocic, who had already had one foot in retirement and the other in a firehouse. He sold the world on a legacy fight that no one truly asked for except for Jon himself. And in the process, he robbed us of the real fight. The one that actually mattered, and the one that would have defined an entire generation. Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall. But look, let's be real. Jon Jones never intended to fight Tom Aspinall. Like, ever. From the moment Tom Aspinall annihilated Sergey Pavlovich and claimed that interim belt, Johnny Turinabol went radio silent. He stopped talking about future contenders, he stopped discussing his reign, and he clung to that Stipe fight with every excuse in the book. A training injury? Sure, it happens, but let's not pretend that this was ever about Johnny's injury. Because he ain't just delay an entire division in order to heal. I mean, he delayed it because he knew that deep down inside, Tom Aspinall was gonna ruin him. And what's crazy is that it's super ironic that in the end, Tom Aspinall really retired Jon Jones without even having to lay a finger on him. It's crazy. And you see, that's the story now. That's Jon Jones's legacy, and honestly, it's a damn shame. Not just for Tom Aspinall, but for the entire UFC fan base as well. Because for 3 entire years, the heavyweight division has been paralyzed. Nothing moved, fights didn't get made, and contenders were stuck in limbo. All because the UFC just kept giving Jon Jones even more time, more space, and even more leeway, while expecting guys like Tom Aspinall to just sit back on the sidelines and wait for the UFC's golden child. And even after defending his interim title in a dominant fashion against Curtis Blades, Tom Aspinall was still forced to wait in limbo while the UFC clung to the false hope that Jon Jones would finally step up. But deep down inside, we all knew he never would. And look, this isn't just a knock on Jon Jones. This is an indictment on how the UFC handled the entire situation as a whole. I mean, for Christ's sake, they let Francis Ngannou walk away over some money, only to pay Jon Jones even more money to wait longer and get absolutely nothing in return. Huh? I mean, Francis Ngannou would have fought. Francis Ngannou would have defended, but instead the UFC put all their eggs in the Jon Jones basket, and now the basket is in the garbage. 2 Mickey Mouse wins over Cyril Gane and an old man Stipe, and then complete and total inactivity? That's it. That's all we got from this supposed heavyweight reign. No contender talk, no Aspinall fight, and no legacy. Just a title vacated in fear. And, you know, people love to romanticize Johnny Ball's career. I mean, they talk about this record of 28 wins and 1 DQ, no real losses, right? But after this, that illusion's dead, I promise you. And while he may be 28-1 on paper, he's 28-2 in spirit. And that second loss? A TKO via cowardice, served cold by Tom Aspinall. Not by punches, not by choke, but by one thing Jon Jones just couldn't escape. And that's the truth. The truth that the new generation had finally caught up. And the truth that time finally caught up. That there's no hiding from your legacy when it's all written in fear. And the thing is that Jon was so close to beating Cain Velasquez's record for the longest UFC heavyweight title reign. Just 60 days shy. But now, that record's safe. That title run is over. And thank God for that, because this fraudulent run deserves no place among the elite of the elite and the great of the greats. You don't just earn greatness by ducking the real contenders. You don't become a legend by avoiding the scariest fights of your entire career. Meanwhile, Tom Aspinall has handled this entire mess with nothing but pure class and absolute patience. I mean, he waited. I mean, he trained and he spoke honestly. He told the world that, and I quote, "I'll retire Jon Jones without even having to fight him," end quote. And now he's done just that. He's the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, and the division, it can finally move on. No more politics, no more games, just pure, unadulterated UFC heavyweight fights. And with that being said, Tom will likely be defending his title later this year, probably at Madison Square Garden in November, with possible challengers like either a Jailton Almeida, and Alexander Volkov, a Cyril Gane lined up in the wings. And you know what? Every one of those fights will deliver so much more than what Jon Jones did in almost 3 whole years. And at the end of the day, this entire saga is really just a tragic tale of ego over legacy, delay over action, and cowardice over competition. And in the end, Jon Jones will be remembered not for who he beat or his legendary light heavyweight title reign, but for who he avoided and the drugs he took. And he could have passed on the torch. He could have left this sport on a high note, but instead he scurried away in silence, exposed for who he truly was. A man who clung to greatness until it broke under the weight of the truth. So, here's to the new era, to the fighters who actually showed up, and to Tom Aspinall, our undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, as well as the man who didn't need to fight Jon Jones in order to beat him. And most of all, to the fans, the real ones, who finally get to watch the heavyweight division thrive once again. Because the Jon Jones era is officially over. And frankly, good riddance. But that's all I've got to say for this video. Let me know in the comment section below, what are your guys' thoughts with Dana White's post-Baku, post-fight speech where he talks about Jon Jones' retirement, and now the upgrade from Tom Aspinall's interim heavyweight championship to now undisputed heavyweight championship. Let me know in the comment section below. But that about wraps up the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao. Bye-bye, Jon Jones.